The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. It is Monday, June the 15th in the year 2009. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm going to be your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. Now that is 7 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. That is toll-free from Alaska, throughout Canada, the United States, and Hawaii. My email address is xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, you can always reach us during the live show at talkstarradio@hotmail.com, and our websites, www.xzoneradio.com and xzonetv.com. And if you'd like to buy the latest editions or past editions of the X Chronicles newspaper, they're available at www.scribd.com/xzoneradiotv. On tonight's show, we have Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is going to be joining me after our first break. We're going to be discussing with Dr. Schultz what it's like to be a psychic doctor who can diagnose ailments live and on air. Hour number 2, Cynthia Sue Larson joins us. We're going to be talking about reality shifters. Hour number 3, Bill Bean, the UFO guy, is back with us. And in hour number 4, all the way from Russia, Dr. James Lee Sharon will be talking to us about his angel at his side. That's tonight here on the X Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. As I said, today is Monday, June the 15th in the year 2009. However, on this date in 1215, King John signed the Magna Carta. In 1752, that was the day that Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity with a kite, a key, and a string. Shocking experience, I would imagine. On this date in 1844, Charles Goodyear received a patent for vulcanizing rubber. And I'll bet you he had no idea that Goodyear was a Vulcan. In 1844, Charles Goodyear managed to vulcanize rubber. It helped pave the way for years later when Mr. Spock invented the vulcanized tire grip. John Lennon and Paul McCartney met for the very first time at a church picnic back on this date in 1956. If you're celebrating your birthday today, from everyone here at the X Zone Radio Show, X Zone TV Show, and the X Chronicles newspaper, and the good people at Talkstar Radio, a very happy birthday to one and all. You'll be celebrating your birthdays with Billy Martin from the band Good Charlotte. He celebrates his 20th birthday today. Neil Patrick Harris celebrates his 36th birthday today. And Courtney Cox celebrates number 45. My producer tonight at Master Control at the home of the Talkstar Radio Network in Titusville, Florida is my good friend, Alec. And Alec and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break with our very first guest of this evening, Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz. As the X Zone starts for this evening, Monday, June the 15th in the year 2009 on Talkstar. Once again, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. Toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. Email xzone@talkstarradio.com. And you can always chat with us here in our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, right on the shores of Lake Ontario, smack dab in the middle of the Great Lakes Triangle. Our MSN message address is talkstarradio@hotmail.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. When I come back on the other side of this break, Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz here in the X Zone live on Talkstar.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits, and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, or psychic phenomenon? Join me, Tim Bartley, co-host of Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, coming mid-January 2017 to the XZBN. We will channel spirits live and talk to them, revealing all kinds of amazing information. Spiritual attachments will be found and removed on the show, and so much more. To find out when you can listen to Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, visit www.xzbn.net for listeners on both sides of the veil.
Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is my special guest, and Dr. Lisa is a medical intuitive. Dr. Schultz received her doctorate in behavioral neuroscience from Boston University School of Medicine in 1993. In addition to her extensive background in health and brain research, Dr. Schultz has been practicing medical intuitive for 19 years. During a medical intuitive consultation, knowing only someone's name and age, Dr. Lisa discerns both a patient's physical condition and the emotional state of his or her life, explaining how the two are linked. Dr. Schultz teaches us how to become aware of our symptoms of illness are part of our intuition network, letting us know when something in our lives is out of balance. During a medical intuitive consultation, there is no physician-patient relationship, nor is there any psychotherapy being performed. Dr. Mona Lisa is going to tell us how specific emotional situations in our lives are associated with the risk of illness in a specific organ of our body. One of the many joys in Dr. Lisa's life is teaching individuals how to acknowledge, trust, and develop their intuitive skills. Her website is www.drmonalisa.com. That's DRMONALISA.com. And Dr. Mona Lisa, welcome to the X Zone.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my great pleasure, ma'am. Now, what is intuition, and isn't that just about having psychic powers?
No.
No?
Intuition is a capacity that all of us have in our brain and our body to help us make a decision. In fact, my definition of intuition is the capacity to make a correct decision with insufficient information. And all of us have areas in our brain linked to our body that help us make correct decisions. The psychic is a pejorative term that frequently we use as shorthand. And so for many years, I would say I'm a medical intuitive, which I don't know if you skipped some of that introduction. A medical intuitive is someone that does not diagnose a person, give a prescribe treatment, or do psychotherapy. It's not a physician-patient relationship. So it's not giving a diagnosis. If you want a diagnosis, you should go to your physician. But what it does do is it teaches you how symptoms in your body let you know that, like a compass, like a warning light on your dashboard, symptoms in your body are part of your intuitive guidance system that let you know that something in your life is out of balance. So a medical intuitive is not a psychic like a fortune teller. There's someone who teaches you that all of us have intuition that lets us know when something in our life is out of balance. And your body is always going to let you know through symptoms like headaches, stomach aches, blood pressure, and so on, that your life somehow is out of balance.
Is that the gut feeling we get that something is wrong, the little inner voice that we hear?
Exactly.
Tell me, doctor, do you have to go to a professional psychic advisor or intuitive advisor to get guidance? Or
No.
Is this the inner voice that we were just talking about a few seconds ago?
I knew a guy who walked down the hall, who always got a bad feeling when he was going out with this woman, but he thought, I got to marry her, and so he starts going down the aisle to get married, and he comes down with ulcerative colitis. I mean, you don't need to know anything more that his bowel is speaking to him loudly.
Yeah.
This woman is not the one for him, but he didn't listen. And all of us know those times when we shouldn't have sped down that highway. We just knew there was a cop around the corner. Of course there was. Or we knew that that freeway was going to be clogged, or that person was wrong for us, or we shouldn't write that check because it's going to bounce. Our intuition almost always lets us know when we shouldn't do something, either through that bad feeling in our stomach, those headaches, the joint pain, and so on, or even bad dreams. Some of us get dreams that let us know.
Well, where does common sense stop and intuition take over? Because if you write a check that the money's not in the bank, of course that check's going to bounce.
Yeah, but that's a fact. You get a feeling, you know, that means you have factual information. But you may not follow your balance. So you sound like a person who follows your balance. Some people don't. They get a bad feeling about something. So, for example, you ever wake up and you get a feeling in the pit of your stomach about someone?
Yes.
And you get a feeling something's going wrong with them. And so you pick up the phone, and they say, oh, my God, I'm so thrilled you called because I just found out my mother died.
Right.
This happens to me all the time. I have a friend, Lisa, and she has a brother-in-law who is suffering. And she says, I always call him when he is in particular dire straits. So it's like you're intuitively connected to pain, either in your life or the life of a loved one.
Now, are women more intuitive than men, or are men more intuitive than women, or is it a 50-50?
Since we all have right brains and we have left brains and we have a body, and we sleep at night, by definition, we're all intuitive.
Right.
But our capacity to talk about our intuition, just like our capacity to talk about our feelings, is different. Men and women don't talk about their emotions, nor do they talk about their intuition the same. Men's and women's brains are different. A woman's brain, right brain, is more connected to her left, so she talks about her emotions and her intuition more. So that's why they call it women's intuition, because we've heard about it more from women. But men, they're right in their left brain. There's less connection. So men talk about their emotion and their intuition less, so they just get less airplay. But just because Donald Trump is the only real estate person we hear a lot about in New York City doesn't mean he's the only person in New York City that does real estate.
Right.
Similarly, just because women talk more about intuition doesn't mean they're the only ones that have it. Men have it too, they just don't talk about it as much.
So why is it called woman's intuition then?
Because they talk about it more.
All right.
Men don't talk about it, so it's not like they talk about it. but they just act on it. They're not going to say, it's been said that the great Wayne Gretzky,
Yes.
before he played a game, he could see the entire game in his mind's eye before it happened. He's not going to sit there and go, I get an intuitive feeling, I get a feeling. He's just going to act on it and go through the motions with a game. Men just don't talk about it, so they're not going to put a label on it. So that's why women label it. They'll say, that's my women's intuition. Well, men won't do that. They think it's stupid to even talk about it. They'll just do it.
All right, how about children? Are children intuitive?
That's another example. Kids won't say, that's my intuition. Kids are impulsive, and they blurt things out. Kids, since they haven't developed a frontal lobe, a sensor, they tend to spit out their intuition more. So kids have unbridled intuition, and as we get older, we tend to censor it more as we learn to fit in more to society. But as we get older, that censor tends to go away as we lose our hormones through menopause and testosterone. So kids have unbridled intuition. We learn to shut it off as adults. And then as we get older, we realize, forget about it, and our hormones unleash our intuition once again.
Why aren't more of us psychic? Or why don't we all use our intuitive abilities?
The way you want to look at it is we all have a sensor.
Okay.
The TV stations, we have sensors. The regular channels, the regular networks, most of the time, there's a sensor that listens, and it decides that there are some things that we don't want to hear, and it mutes it. We decide a part of our brain, the temporal lobe, is important for emotions and intuition. And we have another part of our brain, the frontal lobe, which is the sensor. And it mutes, shuts off our emotions and intuition so we can fit into three things. Work, keep the job, keep the marriage, and not get arrested or thrown into jail. So you eventually learn when you get older, after like age 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, you learn not to say what's on your mind. You learn not to blurt out certain things so you can keep a relationship, you can keep a job, not get fired, not get arrested. The same thing with intuition. You learn to censor it. And as that frontal lobe gets bigger and more developed, you learn how to just censor what you feel and what you intuit. The problem is that area, the frontal lobe, has a lot of hormone receptors, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And so when we go through our cyclic hormone changes as women, that becomes more or less accessible. So at menopause, we become more mouthy, and intuition comes spilling out of our mouth, so does emotion. So that's why you hear about these perimenopausal women, quote, wise women, and they get thrown in huts because you don't want to hear about what's going on, coming thrown out of their mouth. So my point is that intuition starts to become unbridled as you get older, as your frontal lobe sensor starts to go downhill.
Gotcha. How many types of intuition do we have? Are there really 6 senses?
No, that's ridiculous. Because if we have 5 senses in our brain, vision, hearing, body sense, feel, taste, and smell, each one of those senses has an inner sense. Like, for example, if you have vision, you have inner sight, inner imagery, clairvoyance. So that's 2 senses. If you have hearing, you hear in the outer world, you have also an inner hearing, that's clairaudient.
Right.
So each sense that you have, each of the 5 senses has an inner sense, an intuitive sense associated with them. So actually you have 10 senses. And our intuition actually uses all of our senses, the flip side, an inner side. So actually, depending on what senses in you are more developed, those are going to help you access your intuition.
Dr. Mona Lisa, please stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is our special guest this first hour of the show, Exonation. Her website is www.drmonalisa.com. That's www.drmonalisa.com. drmonalisa.com, and that's drmonalisa.com. And the good doctor and I will return on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
1-877-528-8255 is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. This is the X Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Our website's www.xzoneradio.com and www.xzonetv.com. If you'd like to get your editions of the X Chronicles, they are now available online at www.xzoneradio.com/X-Zone Radio TV. Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is my special guest this hour. Her website is drmonalisa.com. And, Doctor, I understand that the body has 7 intuitive advisors, and I was wondering if we could take a look at each one of these advisors.
Consider your car, the dashboard, all the warning lights. Realize that every single one of them tells you a certain part of your car is out of balance. The oil light tells you it's the oil. The water light tells you the water, and so on.
Yes.
Your body has the same thing. It has a series of intuitive advisors, which they light up with symptoms that let you know that something in your life's out of balance. So look at your dashboard. The first light, the first intuitive advisor, is your bones, your joints, your blood, the immune system. This is your first intuitive advisor, your first chakra. It lets you know when you're having trouble in a family. The family in your life is out of balance. When there's a problem, balancing how you balance your individual needs with the needs of the family. Then, how about your second intuitive advisor, the second button to the left? This lights up. This would light up with lower back pain, hip pain, uterus, ovary, cervix. This would let you know that there's a problem balancing money and love. Third advisor is your weight. This is a big one in our culture. Weight's huge. Or digestion, problems with nausea, vomiting, irritable bowel syndrome, constipation. This signals that there's something wrong with work and how you carry responsibility or fuel your self-worth and self-esteem. So work, problems with work and responsibility, your weight will give you problems, you'll have problems with addiction, or you have problems with digestion. Then the fourth button, this is the fourth intuitive advisor, the fourth chakra. This is to do with your heart, breasts, and lungs. This signal comes through heart, cholesterol, hypertension, blood pressure issues, heart attacks, lung problems, asthma, or breast problems. This has to do with balancing your emotional sanity, your moods, anxiety, panic, with being in a relationship. Rounding the bend is your neck, your thyroid, your jaw. This has to do with having a voice and having a say. So this area will give you problems when there's a problem with communication in your life. next to last but not least is your head, eyes, and ears. This has to do, your sixth chakra, your sixth intuitive advisor, has to do with how you see and perceive the world. Are you flexible and rigid? Are you adaptable? And finally, the seventh chakra, purpose in life, why am I here? And this is when you have a life-threatening illness, and this evaluates you. This tells you if your life is on track. Are you on track for your core purpose in life?
Now, if we're out of balance on any one of these 7 chakras or 7 intuition points, Doctor, how do we change things? How do we, for example, if mom and dad are have 4 or 5 kids in the family, dad just lost his job, he's got stress up the yin-yang, mom's now got to carry the weight of the entire family while dad tries and finds another job. Today's society is not a picnic.
Right.
So how do we cope with this?
What you do is you support your mind and you support your body. You support your right brain emotions. You support your left brain to be able to voice them and have the appropriate actions. You support your right brain in being able to listen to the intuition and follow what it's trying to say. And then you support the body's symptoms as they're trying to heal. So, for example, if you're gaining weight, because you're carrying too much of financial responsibility, you need to learn how to look around you and how to get support. Learn how to live with less. And then treat your right brain anxiety on how to know what part you can handle and what part you have to leave to a higher power. What part is what we call radical acceptance, knowing what part you can change and what part you can't. So learning how to handle the problems that we have, what parts we can change and which ones we can't, how to tell the difference between pain, fix the pain, and minimize the suffering that we struggle with situations. So what you're talking about is finding, all of us are in the same boat with the economy, but knowing that we can get support with one another decreases the suffering. But getting angry and saying things should be different and staying stuck in anger is only going to make your cholesterol, cortisol, and insulin stay stuck on and make you gain weight or have all kinds of stress responses. So there's ways of making a bad situation create less suffering in your body.
So basically, you've just got to roll with the punches and figure out what positive action to take.
That, as well as when the situation punches you, how to take the pain that you're feeling, bring it across to your left brain, and get it out of your body in an effective and appropriate way so it doesn't get trapped there and form suffering.
How do you find working both sides of the fence, Doctor? For example, you're a medical doctor and you're an intuitive doctor. Do these go hand in hand, or do you separate them from each other when you're talking to patients?
They are so separate, it is not funny. For example, I have one part of my career, I'm a physician.
Right.
Straight-laced, I see patients. They're called patients. I see them in a room. I examine them. I focus on the data. They get diagnoses. So as a physician, I give a patient a diagnosis. Nowhere does intuition come in any of it. It's based on the facts. On my other career, I'm a medical intuitive. It's not a physician, so I don't give people a diagnosis. I'm not evaluating them. I'm not examining them. What I am doing is knowing only their name and their age. I describe intuitively a specific situation in their life that I see aggravates their health, and I describe their body in terms of symptoms. And then I connect the dot between the two. The redness in their cervix, the redness in where their esophagus connects to their stomach, that abdominal bloating or distension could be associated with that hyperactive responsibility gland carrying responsibility for everyone in their family and not being able to accept support. So I connect what's going on, the symptom that's going on in their body, with the emotional pattern in their life that's out of balance, and then I give them symptoms. So I keep my medical intuitive business very separate from my physician practice so much that everybody who gets a medical intuitive reading actually signs a consent form that acknowledges that we're not having a physician-patient relationship. I'm not giving them a diagnosis, prescribing treatment, or doing psychotherapy.
Tell me, do you ever find one aspect of your career trying to say, well, no, hold on here, that's not right? Or do they complement each other sometimes during a diagnostic procedure?
Never. And the reason is because when you go to a physician, you want, or for example, if you go to a neurosurgeon, you want the person, there's enough to think about with the scalpel and all that equipment to the task at hand. You don't need a person doing a reading because that's a separate area. You're going to go somewhere else. You want the surgeon to focus on the surgery. When you go to see a psychiatrist, you want the psychiatrist to focus on traditional standard of psychiatry in that area. Medical intuition has nothing to do with being a physician. It teaches you how intuition in your body is expressed through symptoms of illness, but it has nothing to do with being a physician. That's where people get confused. And the thing is that what bothers me is people who are in any other field try to diagnose. It's illegal. You cannot do that. And besides, nobody can really give you a diagnosis except a pathologist in a lab looking at a piece of tissue. It's not really helpful because that's not going to help that client create health anyway. Clients come to me to help them unravel what's making them sick. They go to physicians to get medicines and surgery. But when they really want to stay healthy, they want to know what is the emotional pattern in their life that keeps tripping up their health. They come to me as a medical intuitive.
Gotcha. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. My name is Rob McConnell. And my very special guest this hour is Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz. Her website is www.dr... You got that so far, Exonation? That's good. drmonalisa.com. That's drmonalisa.com. How did you decide, or how did you discover that you were a medical intuitive?
Actually, it was that first day that I went down to the emergency room.
Really?
In 1987, yeah. I did it. The first time it was a lady with a gallbladder. The second day it was somebody with a bladder infection. The third day, I can't remember what their other problem was. But each day I was able to do it, I realized, oh my God, I could see what was going on in someone's life and their body by knowing only their name and their age. And after that, I just kept those two things very separate. I went and worked with a woman named Chris Northrup, and she gave me 19 names. She gave me their name and their age. She told me nothing else about them. And she said, come back with 19 readings. And I nailed 17 of them.
Wow.
So she tested me. I told them about their lives and what was going on in their bodies. And so but after that, I just started doing readings at night and then was a medical student by day. I kept them separate.
All right. What can people do to hone in on their intuitive skills, Doctor?
Well, you can get a piece of paper, draw two circles, one for your right brain, one for your left, and then draw a big, big box underneath them for your body. And then draw 7 dots in that box. These are chakras, vertical, 1 through 7, numbering from the bottom on up. And what you can do is look to where you tend to get symptoms in your life. Go to your right brain circle. Do you tend to get moodiness, irritability, panic? If you do, chances are you tend to get intuition through your moods, your panic. So put an X in the right brain circle because you tend to be a right brain intuitive. You'll get intuition through your moodiness, your anxiety, and your panic. I have yet to meet someone who wasn't very intuitive, who wasn't anxious and panicky. On the other hand, say you're very good with writing and reading and details and you're checkbook is very clear and precise and tidy. That means you're probably a left brain intuitive. Go to the left brain circle, and that means you probably get a lot of your intuition through dreams at night. Put an X in the left brain circle, and that's good. That means you need to go to bed on time, keep a journal by your bed, and have a friend and do dream report, because chances are you're going to get a lot of intuitive information through your dreams about your life and the life of a loved one. But everybody, go to the box, look at the 7 dots, because those are your 7 intuitive advisors, your 7 chakras. Look at the parts of your body that you tend to get health issues chronically. Your joints, first chakra, your pelvis, uterus, ovaries, prostate, second chakra, lower back is the big one, your weight, third chakra, and so on. Just put an X, because chances are that's going to be the window of opportunity that you're going to get messages. And then you'll start to learn your intuition network.
Doctor, stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is our special guest. www.drmonalisa.com is her website. Still to come on tonight's show. In the next hour, I'll be speaking with Cynthia Sue Larson about reality shifters. Hour number 3, Bill Bean, the UFO guy, is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about his book, Dark Forces. And in hour number 4, all the way from Russia, Dr. James Lee Sharon is going to be talking to us about the angel at his side. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. Then the show is repeated in its entirety from 2 until 6 a.m. Where? Right here on the Talkstar Radio Network. We'll be back in 4 minutes. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today. www.soulbalancing.world.
Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz is our special guest, www.drmonalisa.com. Doctor, do you see medical intuitives being more widely used in the medical community, the established medical community in the near future?
No, I think that they always should be kept separate, because I think that, beige, I don't like the color beige. Why? Because beige is a bunch of colors mixed together. We need to keep things separate. Good fences make good neighbors. And so I think that acupuncture, Chinese herbs, we don't need all of that all mixed up with traditional medical care. In China, people know when to go to an acupuncturist, when to go to an herbalist, and when to go to a Western doctor. And I think that medical intuition is not part of traditional care. It's something that you go for education. And so a school and university is not in the hospital. It's separate. And I think medical intuition should be separate from traditional care as well.
If medical intuition was as right on or as good as a lot of people believe it to be, then why do we need traditional medicine?
Oh, my God. Because you've got to support the body while you're making the emotional changes. For example, you break a leg.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of reasons, things that you can do emotionally that can make that leg harder for it to mend together. You might not eat correctly. You might be in an abusive environment. You might be stressed. You might even smoke. Smoking might make the bones knit poorly. You might not have enough calcium in your diet. All these things, you could emotionally not support the bone knitting together. But on the other hand, you still need to go to the hospital, get an x-ray, and get a cast.
Right.
So you need good, traditional, solid medical care as well as good intuitive help to understand what you're doing in your life, wrong or right.
But am I not correct in saying that the majority of the medical professionals look at medical intuitive practices as hocus pocus?
I think that traditional medicine does not understand intuition, just like traditional medicine several years ago didn't understand how aspirin worked. And when people who are traditional don't understand how something works, they call it hocus pocus. Many years ago, well, not so many years ago, about a decade ago, people used to make fun of people who use magnets for health. If you remember correctly, they looked at you crazy when you had magnets on for pain. Now, what are they doing? They're actually applying magnets to the brain to treat depression. They actually call it transmagnetic therapy. They're doing it in Harvard. So we now know that magnets can affect the function of the brain, affect the function of the motor strip and the pain areas in the brain. So now we do know that magnets can affect our health, and they're not hocus pocus.
Doctor, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight and for sharing with us. And to you, continued success, Doctor.
Thank you.
Good night, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz, www.drmonalisa.com. When I come back from the news at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past, I'll be with Cynthia Sue Larson as the X-Zone continues, live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free. X-Zone at TalkstarRadio.com is my email address. And on MSN Messenger, TalkstarRadio@hotmail.com. I'll be back after the news at 6.5 minutes past, here live and around the world on Talkstar.